last 37 years, I've had the opportunity to visit with thousands of Oklahoma ranchers and have yet to find one that enjoyed the loss of one of their animals in their herd. If they own cattle over a period of time, it's inevitable that we're going to have one that dies. It may seem counterproductive, but spending a little more money, a little more time on the dead animal may turn out to be quite valuable. In fact, we've heard it said that that animal or the information that it provides may be one of the most valuable pieces in the entire herd. And to help us understand that process and why that is the case is Dr. John Kirkpatrick, Professor Emeritus from the College of Veterinary Medicine here at Oklahoma State University. And John, help us understand how a producer that loses an animal can work with their veterinarian and get that information that they need to prevent further loss.
Okay, Glenn, you're certainly right. There is a lot of value in that animal that we've lost, and we need to gain that. And we want to, as veterinarians, we want to get at least three pieces of information. First, all naturally, we want to know what was the cause of death. Then secondly, we want to know, was it caused from an infectious agent, a toxin, or many other causes of death? We need to identify that. And then thirdly, we want to use that information on developing a plan to prevent that from happening to the rest of the at-risk cattle, and also to be able to formulate treatments based on what we found for those animals that might be sick at this time. Now then, one of our most valuable diagnostic tools is a postmortem exam. Now, most people might recognize the term autopsy or necropsy as a more familiar term, but all three of them mean that we're examining a dead animal to determine the actual cause of death. Now, as with anything, there are costs associated with that. The cost of a postmortem exam will run somewhere between $50 and $150, and that's all based on the size of the animal and the complexity of the case. On those costs, I've learned long ago that you really need to assess those costs not to the dead animal, but those costs need to be assessed or parceled out to the at-risk cattle in that herd, because you're trying to prevent them from becoming ill and succumbing from a disease or a toxic condition. Now, the way to parcel that out, and the math that I use is, say in a 50 cow herd, we lose one cow and we assess her value at $1,000. So that $1,000 is divided up between 49 cows, so that's just a little over $20 a cow. Say we figure in the veterinary cost, his examination and the mileage out there is $200. That would break out to about $4 a head. So we've got about total $24 that is assessed to the at-risk cattle. Now, if we lose another one, we just double that, but we have fewer cows to parcel it out over, so naturally it increases some. Now, as far as abortions are concerned, when we look at that weaned calf, would probably bring somewhere around $600. Well, if in an abortion we've lost that calf, so at weaning time, those other 49 calves will have to carry that load of about $12.25 for the calf that was lost, plus the veterinary cost, which could be about another $4. So yes, there is value in that animal.
Well, I think John's made an excellent case for the producer that loses an animal to work with their veterinarian to find that information as soon as possible and reduce the risk to the rest of the cattle in the herd. Join us again next week on the Cow-Calf Corner, when we're going to visit again with John and get a better idea of what we as herd owners want to do as we find that first animal that has died of disease or a toxin, so that we do the best job of helping our veterinarian get the information that we want and need. We look forward to visiting with you next week on Sunup's Cow-Calf Corner.